All right. Hello, everybody. This is Dan Tomaszewski with Everything MSP. I hope everybody's having an awesome Wednesday, middle of the week. And we have our founding sponsors of Everything MSP, ID Agent. We've had a great relationship for a number of years. And so with us today, we have well, ladies first. We'll start with Amelia Pero, and we also have Matt Solomon. And welcome to both of you guys.
Oh, thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that we're here to talk about is kind of a going forward, you know, a forward thinking or forward looking, but also kind of looking back at 2020. 2020 was kind of an interesting year, wouldn't you say?
Understatement of the year.
Pretty much. I don't even know where to begin, right? So it's led us to some pivots, probably a lot of pivots, and just a lot of change. 2020, I think, taking a look at it from a glass half full versus half empty, it allowed us to kind of reset where we're at, get a good grasp of our businesses, get an opportunity to look at how we can make changes in our businesses to do things maybe more efficiently, more productively, but also to drive some new revenue. And because, you know, we're not all working out of the corporate environment, and a lot of people are working from home, like I think most of us. Amelia, you're actually on site at a location right now, but yeah, definitely it's something that we have to you know, keep in mind that with people working from home, it means that there's, you know, greater risks involved, and it's just not the same as it was. So so with that being said, you know, I guess I'm going to kick it off to Team ID Agent, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we have on our agenda for the day.
Yeah, definitely. And if I may start, you know, I am on site at an event today, but it's a very small event. It's nothing near like what we've all been used to. It's a very small event. Everyone here, the few individuals, the group that I'm meeting with, you know, all socially distanced. I'm in a corner away from people, so that's why I don't have my mask on, but everybody else is wearing their mask, and the rest of them where, you know, the public area. And there's been a lot of, you know, things that have been put in place to make it safe, even, you know, now during when the pandemic is still, you know, very much a concern. COVID's very much a concern. And, you know, I think the biggest question for us as vendors, and also, you know, the MSP community and the rest of the world as a whole is, you know, there's been so much uncertainty and what's going to happen and what's next. And now we're all wondering, well, what's next year going to look like? And, you know, there's been a lot of different theories and ideas. But I will say this, that, you know, for us, and as it has been for, you know, MSPs, our partners, the channel industry as a whole, you know, we had to pivot almost, you know, immediately and change kind of our entire, you know, way of doing things, right? And so the channel community, the rest of the business community, while it started out with a lot of maybe possibly fear and uncertainty, I think we have a really great story of how we've all come together as a collective whole and have decided, look, we are going to, you know, make sure that we move business processes forward, that people are continue to be able to work regardless of where they are. And while there has been a lot of challenges, there's also been a lot of opportunities that have come out of this. And, you know, securing, managing, motivating the work from anywhere environment and workforce is really going to be what I think is going to be the big focus for next year, and enabling all things virtual.
Yeah. You know, like you mentioned with the, you know, the event that you're at just being so much smaller, it's really had a big impact on, MSPs and vendors, working together, learning about, what kind of changes are happening within the organization. Because, even though COVID may have slowed us down or thrown a wrench into things, you're still, cranking out and producing, high quality products and making changes to improve it. And, none of that has changed, right? I mean, so you're still in full force.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge is, sorry. What I was saying is, the biggest challenge has been around this fact that, look, the vendor MSP side of things is relationship based, and it's not really that much different for the MSP and the end user. So much of this business is built on relationships, and so that's been like a culture shock, I think, for everybody. I mean, we're used to seeing people on the road 5-6 times a year, and now we really tried to shift to thought leadership. That was the avenue that we took really this year, is how can we provide value? Maybe we're not selling as much product at each event, but how can we continue to provide value so that our partners and prospects see that we're not just a vendor. So we've had to try all different ways, and putting ourselves out on video a lot more, and we're seeing a lot of MSPs do that. Obviously groups like yours where you're having these conversations, I think now it's twice a week, but at one point you were doing them like every day, right? So it's a bit crazy, but especially like after Amelia and I are used to being on the road, like, I don't know,
75% of the time.
I mean, I have not had a drink with either of you in person at all this year. It's bizarre.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
It's crazy.
But we really just try to share these experiences because we're going through it right now, and so MSPs might not have like the boot camps of the world where they're have in front of that many prospects, but they were doing lunch and learns, and they were doing these, and so a lot of us are already out here making the mistakes and learning from them, and understanding that a virtual event is nothing like a in-person event, and how to capture leads. I mean, we've made all the mistakes, and we've learned from them. But it's very different, and you have to plan accordingly. It's a very different motion. Your call to actions are different, and so as an MSP, you need to be prepared when you're doing either a hybrid or a virtual event, that it's really planning completely differently on how you're capturing leads and things like that.
Yeah, that carries over to MSPs as well, with getting comfortable with being virtual like this and being on a Zoom call. A lot of people, over the years, everybody says video sells, get on video. It's much more personable, and it captures the attention, and versus just, plain old text out there, or graphics. And a lot of people are, rightly so, just the way we're wired, human or public speaking. What is it? Death and taxes and public speaking are all, our greatest fears. And, so it's just one of those things that, because of this, we are all on Zoom, and, especially in our group, we had a lot of people who, since March, when we started doing these calls, it's weird, but it's kind of like watching my daughter's softball team grow over the years, and, same thing, the growth of seeing a lot of our members, just being more comfortable talking on camera. And that carries over to working with their clients, right? And so, it's a good exercise. It's become a good exercise for us.
Yeah, Amelia, maybe you can talk to, when we started talking about getting yourself on videos more often, because, we were so busy at events that it was very rarely that we would do like these 1 or 2 minute videos. But Amelia, kind of maybe talk about your journey, because I think that's relatable for every MSP, because really what we say is you have to start, just do it, because you can't let other MSPs be the entire voice in your network. You have to put yourself out there, and they don't have to be perfect. I literally today, Dan, I hit every mark that I wanted to hit on a video, and there was a damn siren playing in the background. And you know what I said? I said, I'm not doing it again.
Yeah.
I was like, this is my real life. There's a siren going on.
Exactly.
But Amelia, maybe talk about that experience for the last few months.
the last video that I put out, I wanted it to be Christmas themed. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it in front of my Christmas tree. It's going to be great. And my house had been quiet all day long. And as soon as I got on video and I did it on my cell phone, right? My dogs, then, they heard, the wind rustling in the trees, and they decided they were just going to go bananas. And I felt the same way. I'm like, I'm not doing it again. This is it. But it's,
Yeah.
At first it was a little uncomfortable for me. And that's funny to say, because I can get up on stage and talk in front of, hundreds of people, but looking at myself in the camera and talking to the audience while I was like, oh, those are the faces that I make when I talk. What?
Yeah, I think all of us, hearing ourselves and seeing ourselves, we don't like it, right? But
yeah,
we all are our own worst critic, and we think that things
absolutely.
are worse than that they really are. And
absolutely.
Somebody will look at that and say, "Oh my gosh, you did amazing." And I'll be like, "Really?"
Yeah. So I absolutely encourage you, just as Matt said, you just have to just do it. Get the first one is going to be the hardest and most uncomfortable. And then after that, they get easier. And I'm at a point now where, I started doing videos, 2 months ago, thereabouts. And now it's fun. And I've embraced the fact that I'm a little bit of a weirdo and I make weird faces when I talk. And sometimes I do weird things with my hands and I move around, but you know what? We're all people, and we're all weirdos. And some days I get lucky and my dogs won't, be barking in the background, or, the landscapers, or, God forbid the, Amazon delivery and they ring my doorbell, because then it's real fun. But everybody's got dogs or children or, roommates or, spouses or a combination thereof. And it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Is there any other, when you take a look back at 2020, we're almost done with it. Is there any other lessons that, that you've learned that you want to share? We've talked a lot of things about, being distant and, being more virtual. Are there any other things that you can share looking back at 2020?
Oh, wow. We did cover a lot of it. And I think what the lesson that I think we learned is that, it's amazing how great it is to be in the channel. And we really saw that while all of us struggled, there was just, an amazing community involvement, right? We all, seriously, and I think it drives home the fact that the human component of what we all do is so important, whether it's vendor to MSP or MSP to end user, and making sure that we find ways to keep that going, even if we can't do it in person.
Yeah. And I would just add, it's kind of almost stepping away from just like specifically, and more just and staff, and just kind of hearing people talk, thinking back to like when you remember when everybody was doing happy hours and stuff like that. I don't think anybody's doing that so much anymore, but like, it did force everybody to start talking to each other a little bit more in a different, it's so weird, right? Because it's like, I made this joke. I was like, the happy hour we did an ID agent happy hour. I was like, I talked to more people at that happy hour than I did in an in-person ID agent happy hour. Because, you go to your 3 people that are like your closest people at a company, and you usually, that's who you like talk to. But in a Zoom room, it's everybody. And I just think I don't know if it's a lesson. It's just more of, maybe it is. It's just a reminder of how important culture is in an organization. I think the MSPs that we've seen thriving are the ones, that understand that culture is important. Understanding, obviously, each individual is different. Like, I've heard stories of like technicians that were amazing in person, and then as soon as they went into, at home, they weren't as efficient anymore, and they weren't, you know, it's something about being accountable in the office was different, but some people thrive. I mean, we've certainly, obviously, everybody now sees that you can run these businesses, you know, with employees who are not in your physical location. So, I mean, that's going to be like, that could be a game changer, obviously, for certain MSPs. You know,
that's a great thing. You know, let's take a look at going ahead with 2021. You know, when it comes to technology, what are some things that you see that, you know, that technology focus changing or likely changing overall?
Yeah, go ahead, Amelia.
Well, one thing that is kind of a little bit of a lesson, something that we learned from this year, and also, you know, for next year, right? And a sort of a silver lining, I guess, so to speak, but definitely a paradigm shift is one of the big things that we saw is that, you know, cybersecurity is now getting not just the attention, but the intention that it finally needs, right? So for MSPs, the customers, you know, they're much more willing to talk about security now because they're seeing it's something that they're requesting, right? And so there's been a huge, well, there's always been an opportunity, right? But that conversation historically has been difficult getting, you know, customers to maybe fully grasp the risk, but now they're getting it. So securing the work from anywhere, that mobile workforce is going to be a big opportunity in and amongst the other things that we're seeing, right? So in addition to securing the work from anywhere environment, what about, you know, managing the remote workforce and also motivating? You know, the honeymoon phase of working from home is a little bit over now. And so people are like, oh, you know, I think more people are working longer hours. I attended the Women in the Channel meeting, the virtual meeting yesterday. And that was a big topic amongst, you know, the rest of the women in the channel is, you know, the kind of the burnout and how to manage that in yourself and with the teams that you might have to manage, right? And then on the flip side is motivating and managing. So managers that were great in person, maybe not so much, you know, remote. And so what they're finding is that, you know, finding leaders who can manage and motivate in a remote environment is proving to be somewhat difficult.
Except for me, Amelia, right? I'm
that
awesome.
That is true.
Virtually.
You are absolutely the exception to the rule.
Exactly. Well, so are you finding that discussion? Are you seeing that the discussion of business owners being more open to talk about security is mainly because, you know, they're seeing that, okay, my people are going to be at home and we have no insight, you know, we don't have that presence. And do you find that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination, but you know, Amelia alluded to this. So, I mean, Kaseya came out with a report, and it was, I mean, this was back in probably March. And it was, you know, I mean, the obvious things were, you know, ticket requests around mobile were like 8 times as many requests. But what was interesting in that report was that at the time they were getting 2 times as many security requests. So for the, you know, I don't say for the first time ever, but like first time, you know, that I've really seen evidence of like, wow, the customer is now going to the MSP saying, what do we need to do about security? Because you know, they're smart enough to recognize in a mobile environment that there was going to be issues ahead. And so that was like, you know, a huge thing. And we saw it, I guess, early on where, you know, and we've always preached to MSPs that partner with IDagent, hey, whether your customers are paying for the dark web service or not, or phishing and security awareness training, you need to roll this out to all of them. And you got to figure out a way to get them to pay for the service. So all of a sudden we were getting requests of like, hey, we need to add 40 domains because we need this service, you know, to all of our customers. So that was kind of an interesting thing. And, you know, I know the shift's going to also be on the vendor management side, right? It's like, and look, this is, I'll preface that this is a slight plug for overall Kaseya, which IDagent's a part of, but it's, you look at if you invest in the Kaseya group, right, you've got IT Glue, ID Agent, Rapid Fire Tools, and there's automation benefits to that, right? There's workflows that work together. They're not cosmetic workflows because we all are under one roof, under this kind of concept of IT complete. And I do think, I'm having conversations with MSPs where they are starting to look at, I can't be with 20 different vendors. And even, Dan, the other Dan Tomaszewski, who heads up our powered services, sales enablement team, the fact that you get all of those materials under all those different brands, that makes a big difference. You're not going into 10 different vendor sales enablement portals. You're going into one, and you're getting all of those, depending on how many products you have, but, making that easier and obviously reducing costs, and time, right? Wasted time.
Yeah, and ultimately, when you take a look at the materials that you guys have put together, any MSP that's adding a new offering, if you decide we're going to start offering, security awareness training, well, you have to have tools to market it. You have to have all these different tools. And so a lot of times with other products or services out there, somebody will sign up for it, and then they're like, all right, so now we got to sell it. We got to come up with stuff. And then they drag their feet and it doesn't happen. But it becomes a done for you type scenario with what you guys have done. And so you can hit the ground running from the day that you sign and start making sales. And that's one of the most, I think, incredible components of it that MSPs are drawn to.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. We have MSPs now wanting to sign. Well, it's now called Powered Services Pro. It's kind of like this new version, which is like it's the original Powered Services, like on steroids. We now have MSPs basically wanting to sign up for that program by itself. Obviously, can't do that, but
right.
But it speaks to the value, because the Powered Services program is like $99 a month. I'm not kidding. If you are an MSP and you've ever done business with a marketing agency or anything, the cost of like an ID Agent partnership that includes Powered Services Pro is less than you would pay just a marketing company for like a few blogs and campaigns. And we're talking, this stuff's on a whole nother level. And really one of the only reasons there's a price associated with it, and I actually think this is, it's a benefit, is that we now are giving out source files.
Mm-hmm.
And,
and
so we had to we have to pay Getty Images, and we have to pay. These are professional images. They're not just some,
nothing's free.
Nothing's free, and it's not run of the mill graphics. And so, that ability to have the source files and make it your own, because that's always the issue. It's like, right? It's like, how many MSPs are getting access to this document? Well, a lot, but you have the ability to make it your own. And God, it makes it so easy. It's really an awesome program. So
just add water type scenario,
Yeah.
So, great analogy.
Yes. So some of the messaging of that, are they are in the materials, are they geared towards this new world that we're living in? As far as that kind of focus.
Yeah, so we, the Powered Services team, they are dropping new content in there, when the market changes, when the topics and the trends change as a reflection of what's going on in the market and the threat landscape and the topics that are, crucial and important to MSPs. So yes, and it's dynamic.
You just said a key thing there is they're constantly adding new stuff to it, right?
Yeah.
So, a lot of companies can say, hey, we have these different marketing materials available for you, but they might be the same ones from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So
so Dan, they're adding it on so if you're part of Powered Services Pro, every month you're getting a complete new download of materials. We're talking, marketing slicks, social campaigns. And by the way, we already give you the blurb if you want to just take what we say, as like your social media post. So it's like full campaigns that we're doing for each product type. And so like security would be a product type. But this is where it becomes like exponentially awesome, which is if you're an ID Agent partner and you have access to the security module. So let's say that's 15 or 20 documents inside that 1 month, but then you'd add Compliance Manager through like a Rapid Fire Tools. and you've unlocked the compliance module, which is no additional cost.
Oh, nice.
And now you have another 15 documents related to compliance. And then if you did backup, Unitrends MSP, you unlock backup. And so you legitimately could, if you're using several of us, you could legitimately have 50 documents per month on a monthly basis that are new materials.
Well, in each of our calls, one of the things that comes up time after time after time is marketing and how to be able to get messaging out there. And let's face it, most MSPs don't, I would say a very large percentage of MSPs do not have any internal talent for that. And also, where do you start, right? We had speaking with one of our members today, and there's two of them, and so you're trying to grow the business. Someone has to be the one to project manage the creation of that stuff, working with an outside vendor, trying to figure out the best way to get that messaging out. Well, it's done for you, and you don't have to worry about that. So that fills that void that a lot of our members have. So, we only have a few minutes or a couple minutes here left. Is there anything else new that you would like to mention?
Matt,
I'll let you take this one because I know you just been itching. Yes.
Yeah. So there is. So going back to the theme of 2020 for us after COVID, obviously, it's been thought leadership and how to make events fun, different. I mean, that we're constantly striving. Obviously, the Magic Johnson event was the first example
awesome.
of that. Yeah. I mean, we did a Pivot to Grow event where we brought in sales and marketing thought leaders from outside the MSP space because we were like, everybody's heard from these people. We want to hear from new people.
Right.
So we really, and you were part of the cybersecurity trilogy. So we kind of have been really doing that all year, and so this is our final one. And I think I can share my screen here, right? Or I guess you have to allow me to do it.
Yeah, let me.
So what we've got coming up on the 15th, it's called "Twas the Night Before Krampus." And if you don't know what Krampus is, you got to come to the show and we'll talk about it a little bit. But this is themed around a couple things, which is one, thought leadership. So we're bringing in this guy Brett Johnson. He's been dubbed the original internet godfather. He basically led the Shadow Crew group, which was one of the first dark web organizations. He was on the U.S. Most Wanted list. He went to jail. He escaped from jail and went back to jail. He's now on the good side of things. But I can tell you, and we got some feedback on some of our ethical hackers that we've had this year, and one guy, there was some negative feedback on him. I can assure anybody who attended that one, this guy is incredible. I've worked with him before at a different Kaseya event. He's so dynamic and he's so entertaining, and he obviously has just the most wild stories. It's just from that point, it's going to be just fun to be at the event. But we also are kind of double downing on kind of the end of year. It's the holiday season. We're doing $5,000 worth of gifts and prizes. So Amelia, I'll let you kind of I'll scroll down, but you can talk about some of the prizes.
Yeah. So, we're giving away $1,000 in cash. We're going to give away a bunch of really cool tech gadgets and toys. We've got an electric scooter. We're giving away an iPhone 12, 55-inch flat screen TV, the Oculus virtual reality glasses, and a bunch of other cool stuff. But one of the other really cool prizes that we're giving away is the winner and two or three of whoever, the winner's friends will get to have a Zoom meeting with a celebrity of their choice. So
there's some limitations on that of their choice.
Well, that's true.
So of your choice, is Jennifer Aniston on the list?
No, we cannot. Yeah, it's up to about like a $2,000 value, and so we've got this website we're working with. And
nice.
I can give you a couple examples. So like Brett Favre was on there, Tony Hawk was on there, Reggie Jackson. I mean, it kind of depends on what your interests are. But yeah, just kind of a unique. I mean, that's what we're trying to do is find unique things. I mean,
sweet.
Yeah. So we're doing that. You do have to be there. It's not just about registering. You have to be there live to win any of the prizes. And then in addition, so we're doing the 5,000 in prizes, we're doing, you know, Brett Johnson, and then actually the other Dan is going to join me for we're going to open up the event. And I think it's cool because what we're just going to do, we're going to spend 30 minutes of just showing people examples of real, you know, MSP examples of how they were selling, you know, obviously it's utilizing ID Agent, but how they're using ID Agent to get their foot in the door to sell the rest of their security stack. Because that's, we've preached that from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's not just about selling ID Agent at all. It's about selling the rest of the security stack. And so we're just going to like spend 30 minutes sharing story after story because we're big believers that you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Take lessons from your peers, things that have already worked. And, you know, we also know things that don't work. You know, and so we've made those mistakes already, or an MSP has, and they told us about it. And that's the beauty of having a channel success manager, because we can walk you through that stuff. So, I mean, it's literally, you go to idagent.com/Krampus. It's really easy to register.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
We'll throw that in the chat here for everybody. So that is coming up on the 15th, right?
Yeah.
So 15th, and it's the time.
I think it's at 3 Eastern time, if I'm.
Yep.
Yeah, and an important message to make, because you know, I know you have a worldwide audience as well, and we've tried to time it where anybody in the world could, in theory, come to it. But one of the questions we get a lot is, are the prizes available to non-US MSPs? And the answer is yes. We're going to figure out how we got to do it, whether it's, you know, if you won an Oculus and you just want us to send you Amazon gift cards for the same value, let's just get it done. We're going to get it done one way or another. So
yeah, it's a little challenging these days with, you know, the way the world is. So gift cards are, no one's going to turn down cash, I don't think so. No, exactly.
We'll figure it out one way or another.
It's
going to be really fun and exciting. We're really excited about being able to put this together and just, you know, saying thank you to all the MSPs around the world.
That's awesome. And you guys, you know, like I said, I've known you guys for a number of years. First met at an event, an exchange event in a boardroom, and just totally blown away. And that was back when it was just dark web monitoring, right? Yep. And you guys have matured over the years and added a lot to it, and made the overall, you know, stack even larger from that perspective. So that's incredible, and just a good group of people to work with. And I love what you're doing with Krampus. And I'm looking. I don't know what I don't know what that is. So I'm gonna have to sign up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's some European folklore involved there. So, yeah, but we'll.
So awesome. Well, Amelia and Matt, I thank you guys so much for the time, and I really appreciate the update of what's going on at ID Agent, but also the things that you shared with us about what's taking place in 2020 that you guys have identified, and how we can make 2021 a better year, more successful year, and something that we're all looking forward to. So thank you guys. Thank you to all of our attendees for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you guys soon. Take care, guys.
Hope to see you on the 15th.
See you guys. Thank you.
Bye.